Hi, it's Gary. Welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be unboxing another pen that was gifted to me during Inkvent. That's why the box is open, because we had a quick look during the Inkvent period. But let's take a look at this pen and we'll take a closer look now. So I'm going to ease the pen out of the box. These are like standard boxes that a lot of Jinhao pens come in. You know, all that does now is go in the bin. And we'll take it out of the wrapper again, destined for the bin. I've got to be honest, I do prefer the pens that don't come in a box at all. You know, especially when we're talking about cheaper, or cheap is not really the right word, maybe less expensive pens. So let's take a look through the body. Here we've got a Jinhao 85. It's in this gorgeous wooden pattern. The top we've got here, it's actually coming to a point, and you can feel the point at the end if you push your finger on it. This is, I'm going to call it a gold coloured material. I actually like the look of it. It looks quite classy. So we come down, so we've got steps coming down, a bit like a pyramid, and then we come into the clip. The clip, very springy, easy to get that off, nice. Hopefully that would fit nicely over any shirt pocket. I'm just fetching my pen stand. I'm trying to hold it up. Why don't I use a pen stand? There we are. Gary should be fired. So the clip itself, it looks like it's tapering out until about halfway down. Then it goes to the same width for the rest of the way down. I like this pattern. So on here, it's actually, well, I'm going to say it's engraved. It's not, but it feels like something that's engraved. But to me, a lot of the pens that I've got, you know, they've got plain caps. This just adds that little bit of, I'm going to call it elegance. It certainly looks quite nice. Let's just turn this around. Then at the bottom, there we've got that metal ring, and we've got the word Jinhao. And that's it. I'm trying to look as close as I can, so it just says Jinhao. From this silver coloured ring, we've then got a tiny step down to the wooden body. You can feel it. Remember, I'm looking for these step downs. I don't think in normal use you'd even be aware of it. We come down to this wooden body. I quite like this. Let's just turn it around and look at this wood. That's a nice, like a golden brown colour. I've got what I hope is an ideal match in terms of ink in mind for this. We can see the grain. Feels nice. Seems to be the same width until we get near the end. Then we taper down into a domed bottom. I'd have liked if this top would have been more rounded rather than pointed, so it would match the bottom. But for what was paid for this pen, you know, I think it's actually very good value. Let's take the cap off. So does the cap pull or twist? I think it might twist. Let's try it. Yep, it twists off. Let's count it this time. So we go half, 1, 1.5, 2, just under 2.5 turns to come off. That reveals this hooded nib, and by the look of it, not sure if this will come up on the camera, it's got a Fude style nib, so it's got a bent nib at the end. That might add a little bit of interest to my writing. Well, I hope it does. So we have a little bit of the nib showing, then we go straight into the section. The section, black plastic. Feels not too bad, feels a bit thin. The whole pen feels thin. Remember, it's a cheap pen, it's not an expensive pen. So I'm not going to quibble about that. Let's unscrew the body. So that comes off nice and easily. Metal fittings. And inside there, we've got the converter. I've got to be honest, I quite like it. It looks really attractive, and if it's like most of my other Jinhao pens, I wouldn't be surprised if it's a nice writer. Let's swap over the view and we'll take a look with my standard comparison pens. Here's my comparison pens. I've got the Pilot Metropolitan. In the middle, we've got the Jinhao 85, and then I've brought in a Lamy Safari. Very similar in terms of length. Maybe the Jinhao ever so slightly longer. Let's take the caps off. Unposted, the Lamy now is the one which is slightly longer. The Jinhao, roughly the same length as the Pilot Metropolitan. Looking at the nib, so, we've got this hooded nib here with the Jinhao 85. Well, we've got the standard style nibs there on the Lamy and the Pilot. Let's look at these posted. Posted, well, the Metropolitan, smallest. The Jinhao 85, that's in the middle of the two. And the Lamy Safari, definitely the longer of the three. This pen does post. It posts quite well. Feels a bit long and back heavy to me. I don't normally post my pens, so that's why it feels like that. Unposted, yeah, I think that's going to be comfortable enough. It seems to have enough length to be usable for me unposted. Just pop that cap on. I'm going to step away from the desk now. I'm going to give the pen a clean out. When I come back, we'll put some ink in it, do a writing sample, then I'll give you my first impressions. And I'm back. I always like to clean out my pens when I get them. I just use some cold water. I just literally just flush it through. If it looks like there might be any ink residue or anything which looks not quite right, I might use some soapy water instead, but generally just some clean water will do. Fetching my ink holder. That's the Dragon today. So we've got this lovely goldeny type colour. So I thought what I'm going to do is use Autumn Oak from Diamine. I think that might be a nice match. It's not a shimmer ink, it's a standard ink. So let's take the cap off. Push the plunger down to the bottom. There we go. I'm going to try and angle this so you can see ink coming in. And let's fill it up. There you are, one single fill. And I'm quite pleased with that. Let me just clean the nib and I'll also reassemble the pen. So the pen's full of ink. I've got rid of the ink bottle. I've cleaned it all off. It's time to do our writing sample. Here we've got the notepad of testing. This is Oxford Optic paper. It's in an A5 notebook. I like this paper. I really do like the Oxford Optic paper. Let's see though, how does this pen write? So we've got here a Jinhao 85. Oh, this looks so nice, doesn't it? I'm going to call it a Fude nib. It might be called a bent nib. I can never remember how they're called in China. This was a whopping $8 Australian. As I said, inexpensive, cheap pen. The ink by Diamine. And it's Autumn Oak. I like this colour. I like this ink colour. I don't really use it that often. I think you need the right nib. And I've got to be honest, I think this is the right nib for this ink. Just look at that. I think we've got a really nice match there between the wood colour and the ink colour. Let's look at drying times. So that's immediate. All I'm doing is holding the pen how I would normally use it. 10 seconds. 30 seconds. There, 30 seconds, that's dry already. I'm going to move the mic down to the page so you can hear the pen writing. That's nice. There's a little bit of scratchy feedback to it. It's not unpleasant. It's feedback that I enjoy. I like to have tactileness when I'm writing. Really enjoying the way this is handling that. Remember, it's an $8 pen. Very, very nice. Right, let's look for line variation. So I said this is a Fude nib. I'm going to try holding it upright first. And holding it upright, we get a fairly thin line. I'm going to angle it part way down. Still getting a thin line going down, and then all the way down, not much wider. Now let's do lines going across. So again, with it going up, feels very, very scratchy there. Part way down to where I would normally have it, and then how I would normally hold it. Here we can start to see some variation, can't we? If I do my S's, again, I'm holding this how I would normally do it. Seeing a definite difference there. And unlike a lot of my pens, we're seeing the thickness on the line up as opposed to the line down. So that's going to be interesting. That's going to add that extra dimension to my writing. Let's look for fleur. I know it's not an overly scientific test, but that lasts well. That gets all the way across the page. So my first impressions of this pen. Very nice. Looks nice, doesn't it? I like the way we've got this little bit of patterning here on the cap. That just adds, again, it's that extra dimension. I love the wood. I've got to be honest, I really enjoy wooden looking pens. And this looks really nice. We've got here a nice line that's coming out with that Fude nib. Not a nib I use that often. Going to be interesting to see how I get on with this, but I think it looks quite nice. It's got a lot more character to the writing. You know, when we look down here, that looks really nice. I may have a think, and when this ink runs out, I might try a shimmer ink in here. A lot of my pens, they don't give a wide enough line for shimmer and most sheens to actually properly show up. But given the nature and the colour of this wood, not sure what I can put in there. I've got a couple of yellowy orange type inks with some shimmer. Might be worth trying them. Very nice pen. For $8, I think it's exceptional value. I really do. I need to see how it goes long term, obviously. But, you know, it feels nice. It's light. You expect that. It's $8. All in all, really pleased with this pen. So this is my first impression of the Jinhao 85 and Diamine Autumn Oak. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Have you got a Jinhao 85? Do you have other pens maybe with that Fude nib? How do you get on with it? What are your thoughts on it? Please drop a comment down below. Let's kickstart the conversation. Please hit the thumbs up button. Every time you like, every time you comment, just helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel so that you can get new videos as I release them. I'll talk to you again soon.